Doom. Well, today is the day. The first Doom game in 13 years will be released, or has been depending on when you watch this video. A lot of people are excited because, well, it's Doom. Sure, the multiplayer is made by the people that made Halo 5, and more or less no one that actually worked on Doom is still at its software, but it's still Doom. It can still be a good game, it can still be great, it can still be what Doom was. Because at least Bethesda proved it can revitalize old series with Wolfenstein: The New Order, which I played about 10 minutes of, and it was fun. Though sure, the fact that there don't seem to be any review codes available for it is a bit unsettling, but that doesn't mean the game's gonna be bad. I hope. Well, honestly, I don't actually care, because although I liked Doom, it's just a game. A fantastic game. Superb game, I loved it, but still it's just a game. Not what you would call a game, but also not a game. Notice the inflection. I'll clarify. A game is a game. It's Doom, it's Wolfenstein, it's StarCraft, it's a lot of things. They're good, I like them, I play them as much as I can, they're great. And then there are games. And I mean games. Stuff like Ultima Underworld, Thief 2, Deus Ex, Planescape Torment, Fallout, you know, games. And then there are games, you know, like Rogue Warrior, the last few Medal of Honor games. Mostly crap is what I'm getting at. Now, these three categories have the same name, but the inflection makes them different. Very, very different. Now, there was one time when I would put Doom in the game category, but now it's more of a game. Fine game, superb game, but game. The reason is, well, because I played Ultima Underworld. Although I spent countless hours at internet cafes playing Doom, realizing after those countless hours that my leg was somehow stuck around the chair in a very uncomfortable way and painful way, but I didn't notice the pain until I finished. It's still just a game. Whereas Ultima Underworld is a game. I mean, just look at it. And it was made before Doom. Complexity, technologically, it is superior in every way. Even though they are day and night in terms of what they actually do. Although maybe not actually day and night. Because here's the part where Doom actually makes me want to reconsider it and put it in that game category. People consider Doom to be the father of the first-person shooter genre. This is where it started. We didn't call them Wolf 3D clones, we called them Doom clones. Because Doom defined what a first-person shooter was. Lots of weapons, interesting levels, enemies, health packs, stuff to blow up, barrels, exploding barrels. Though I think they predated Doom. Not really sure what game this started out in. I know there was one before it, but I can't remember it. But anyway, this is the game that solidified the first-person shooter. And yet, were you to look at games made today of this same genre, you'd notice that no, they are not almost anything like Doom. They're games, and sometimes games. Compared to them, Doom is a game. And it boils down to one thing. Even though this is a first-person shooter, even though this is a game that's about shooting things in the face, even though this is the game that was blamed constantly for encouraging violence and leading to horrible things, this game is actually more about something very different and non-violent. Although violence does factor into it because, hey, there's enemies about, you have guns, you have a rocket launcher, why not use them? Doom is a game about exploration. It's about exploration in a sense that really underscores just how poorly some modern games do exploration. Simply put, the level design of Doom is stellar. The people at id, I think there were 3, maybe 4 people that actually worked on the levels. There were Sandy Patterson, John Romero, Tom Hall did some stuff before he left, and I think there was someone else that worked on the levels. They knew their stuff, which is amazing because at that point there was no stuff to be known. There weren't games like this. Well, yeah, there was Wolf 3D, so they got the experience from there a bit, but mainly there weren't that many games that did stuff like this, unless you count Ultima Underworld, which did exactly this a year before. But this was a different kind of game. The levels weren't as gigantically organically sprawling as in Ultima Underworld. They were more confined, more densely packed, and that allowed for some very interesting design. A certain type of design actually that let you see where you're supposed to go, but not necessarily show you the exact path. It's that horseshoe design philosophy. You start at point A, you can clearly see point B, but you don't necessarily see the exact path you should take because it's not a straight line. They call it a horseshoe because you can see both points, they're close to each other, but the path is way out there. Though of course Doom didn't actually have horseshoe levels, they were more complex than that. A lot more complex. And that horseshoe technique wasn't just used on the start and end point of a level. I actually don't think it was ever used for exactly that, though it did point the way to the end of the level. This technique was also used for secrets. This is what I loved about the game. You would come across something, a glowing blue orb with a face on it. You had no idea what it was, you had no idea what it did, it just stood there looking at you, and you wondered, how do I get there? And at the time I had no idea how. I saw a chainsaw, I want that chainsaw, how do I get it? Again, no idea. And at this point the game didn't have that many enemies in the level, so after you kill them all you would just run around the level searching for a way to get at that chainsaw. It didn't matter if it offered you more power, if it offered you an advantage. You wanted it because you didn't have it, because you could see it, and you didn't have it, you couldn't reach it, you didn't know how. This is how Doom encouraged exploration. This, and by the fact that at the end it would tell you that you missed secrets. And because it showed you at the beginning what the secret was, such as the armor in the toxic pit on the first level and this chainsaw, you'd always be on the lookout for them. Constantly, you would check walls, you would look at things that seemed suspicious, out of place, and you would just try and find them. The enemies sort of became secondary to exploring the levels. And then something else happened. Now in some games, one element would be favored instead of the other, so you'd either get more enemies and no exploration, or more exploration and no point to the enemies. Here they sort of went hand in hand, one because enemies would spawn from secrets sometimes, and two because you needed those secrets, you needed that rocket launcher, you needed that health boost, you needed that any advantage to defeat the enemies that stood in your way. Doom wasn't a twitch shooter, it wasn't a game where tactics were that much of a thing. The version I'm playing now, Z-Doom, has strafing. I'm not sure if the original Doom had it, I mean as keys. I honestly remember just playing it with a keyboard and no strafing or mouse. This one has jumping too, and crouching. Had one that enabled me to use anaglyphic read and cyan glasses to see it in 3D, and that was fun. But back to what I was saying, there wasn't that much room for plays, as you'd call them, in Doom. You just had to hit first, hide behind a wall, hit that exploding barrel of stuff, kill the enemies before they kill you. And having more HP, having one extra rocket meant the world. It could save you, and lacking them could lead to your demise. So exploration, though it started at first as something that you did because, oh my god, I want to see what's over there, you then did it because it was necessary, because the game ramped up the difficulty. It did it very organically. I mean, the first level has what, like 5 enemies? No, not 5. 6 or 7 maybe. The later ones have tens of enemies, lots of them, strong enemies with a lot of guns, but so do you. You have a lot of guns and you can find more if you continue exploring, if you continue finding all those secrets. So yeah, in terms of what it actually brought to the genre that it created and then people forgot what it actually did, I would say that Doom is what you would call a game. Though, again, compared to stuff like System Shock, which was released a year later, it's just a game. A good game. Fantastic game, but still just a game. One which you can find just about everywhere. What I'm actually surprised to see, and gotta say, big respect for this, the shareware version of Doom is still available on the id Software website. So you can still play the first part of it for free because on Doom and on GOG it's a bit kind of expensive. It's around €5, which again, it's a good game. It's also older than hell, so maybe a bit too expensive. Nevertheless, if you haven't played it, give it a try. I mean, there's even versions that work in browser for free. There was a Flash one. I even had a Doom 2 RPG on my mobile phone made about 9 years ago. It was actually quite fun. It was mostly a parody of itself, but a very good one, with sort of the same kind of level design. And now the new Doom is gonna be released, or has been released, and well, in the next few days we'll see if it's a game, or a game. Let's hope it's not that last one, because if it is, oh boy, people that actually like Doom are gonna be pissed. But since the original is still good and I can play it, and I have no expectations from the new one, for the most part I honestly don't care. I mean, it's not like it's gonna redefine the first-person shooter genre or something. Or is it? Probably won't. If you enjoyed this show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Or, if you thought it was horrible, then share it with your enemies and make them suffer. We shall be your weapon of vengeance. But if you liked what you saw, you could, I don't know, maybe donate, because basically YouTube is horrible at revenue, by using the link in the description, or just buy my book. It's a fantasy book about, well, a lot of stuff. I guarantee it won't suck, and if it does suck, you can find me here and complain about it.